Hi, Mystery Writers. Welcome to the Mystery Writers Studio. I'm Zara Altair. And today I wanted to get down to some basics. What makes a mystery a mystery? We can have elements of other genres in a mystery, like um, romance. But the main thing with a mystery is it's a search for the truth. It's a puzzle the reader wants to solve along with the sleuth. And when you write a mystery, you create a puzzle that leads toward the revelation of the villain. It's that simple. Along the way, there's a lot of work to do. Mystery fans have expectations about what they want, and they want you to meet those expectations. And they're pretty straightforward and pretty simple. And if you do that, you're are going to love your story. They expect not just a good puzzle, but an engaging sleuth. They want to identify with the sleuth, and that leads them through solving the mystery. But that's just one of the expectations. So let's take a look at what some of those elements are. Um, A trope is a literary device relating to a plot element or character commonly used in a genre, and mystery has many tropes, and readers expect those. If they're mystery readers, they expect those tropes. There's lots of ways you can play with them, but they want them to be in there. Um, so when you promise them a mystery, they expect those tropes to be in the story. So, first of all, is that engaging sleuth. If you want your reader to keep reading, they have to care. They just must care. And so, you want to create a sleuth with a personality and traits that engage your reader. That doesn't necessarily they need to be a likable character, but they must engage the reader because the sleuth is their guide through that mystery puzzle. And if they care about the sleuth, and they're going to care about the challenges the sleuth faces, and they will care about the story. It's that simple. So you want your sleuth to be engaging, and and caring is a clue to that engagement. There's also a crime. So there has to be a puzzle to solve, right? Who did it? And this story must have a crime that needs to be solved. Usually it's a murder, not always, but usually. And it's in television it's called the start to the corpse. So first off, you need a crime for your sleuth to solve. You got your sleuth, now you have a crime. All right. um, and then there's evidence. There's that evidence hunt where the sleuth has to look at what they see has happened and make some conclusions about what they see. So there's a body, and so it's time for your sleuth to start looking for clues. And this is the sleuth's initial probing into how and possibly why the crime happened. And the clues and evidence must lead to suspects. And evidence collection can include the crime scene, the victim's body, and the victim's home or place of work, depending on where the crime happened. Also, there need to be suspects, and it's your sleuth's job to identify the suspects. Um, the suspects are people who possibly may have committed the crime. The suspects list grows as your story progresses from anyone on hand at the crime scene to a search for possible connections to the victim. So the more the sleuth learns about the victim, the easier it is for their to identify potential suspects. One suspect may refer your sleuth to someone else who becomes a suspect, and the list grows. Um, and then there's the questioning of the suspects. So once your sleuth has identified those suspects, they have to go meet with those suspects and talk to them and ask them questions. And this is the fun and games of mystery writing for us as writers, as your sleuth tries to probe those suspects, and each suspect has their secrets, which, whether they return to the crime or not, they want to hide, and to make they make your sleuth ask questions, and the more they learn about the victim, the more your sleuth is able to think about what were possible motivations for the crime. Um, so another trope that readers expect is the lost moment. And I think oftentimes we don't think about this when we're, especially as new mystery writers, but this is an important part of your story. But your sleuth has gathered evidence and questioned suspects, but nothing fits into place. They're just as clueless, as it were, as they were when they started. It's as though there is a veil over everything and they can't see what the truth is. Remember, mystery is a search for truth. Um, so, however much he or she tries to put together the puzzle pieces, they don't fit, they don't make sense, and your reader may have suspicions, but they too are baffled. And this is one of the things readers love. It's like they, along with the sleuth, think that they're getting evidence and they're getting clues, but then nothing makes sense. And so this is I can't talk. This is an important moment your in your story, is that moment of feeling lost. It usually happens about the midpoint of the story. But then something happens, whether your sleuth re-examines what they've looked at before or discovers a new suspect. The sleuth starts narrowing down the suspects, and they have new questions, and they approach suspects with a bigger vision of the victim and their relationship to all of the suspects. Because your sleuth has gathered all this information, and remember, your reader is going along going, yeah, they got this, they got this, they got this. Because remember, for the reader, they want to solve the mystery. They think they want to solve the mystery before your sleuth does. If they do, they're going to be disappointed in your story. So it's a balance. Um, but anyway, this new path is like all the information that your sleuth has gathered so far. They start re-examining it and looking for different connections. And at this point, they may go back and question suspects again because they have this new information, and and they have a new vision of what's going on, and so they um, just re-examine everything. And then then the next thing that you want to make sure you have in your mystery is that after you have that new path, there's a point at which it seems like the villain is winning. They've outsmarted your sleuth, and even though the villain is hidden from the sleuth, they may cause something to happen that makes it worse for the sleuth. Or they may be a threat. There may be a threat to life, or an erasure of a clue, or a complete misdirection that leads your sleuth down a wrong path, like a red herring. The villain sets up all these things that get in the way of your sleuth actually leading to them because, man, they don't want to be caught, right? And then finally, all the puzzle pieces come together. Your sleuth knows who the villain is. They figured it out. Um, you may keep all the connections hidden until the next phase, which is the summation. The sleuth confronts the villain and reveals their identity, and he may sum up all the clues that led to uncovering the victim's identity. And this is one of the points where your reader may go, "Oh, I should have thought of that. I saw that. I just didn't notice it at the time." Um, so every writer has their own way of creating a mystery, and from the point of view to mystery genre choice, your story will be unique to you. And your style and tone make the connections with the readers. And creating reader interest and then sustaining that interest is by creating those questions and following along with all those tropes that the readers expect um, within the story. And you broaden the relationships, and also within the story you can create subplots that add depth to your story and often um, in enlarge the uh, the reader's connection with the characters because these other things are going on in their life, not just solving the mystery puzzle. So it's fun to add those, but remember the basic elements of the mystery have to be there in place, and then your risky readers are going to love your mysteries. So if you cover all the basic mystery tropes, readers will appreciate your story. Um, and you create that puzzle, you keep your readers asking questions, and you guide them with your relatable sleuth. And that is going to, it sounds very simple, but those are the elements that really drive your readers to engage in your story and to keep reading because they care about your detective. They want to solve that puzzle, and your job is to keep them, to give them the clues, but to keep them from actually solving the puzzle before your sleuth does. And that's it. So I hope that helps because if you keep all of these elements in your story, your mystery readers are really going to appreciate your story, whatever your subgenre is, and whether you have a likable or an unlikable sleuth. And it's all going to make sense for them because they're going to go, yes, I love reading mysteries, and this is a good one. Okay. All right. Thank you for joining the Mystery Writer Studio, and I'll see you again next week. Thank you.